Now we're going to move on and prepare for our speaker today. As you all know, our speaker today is Stanley. I got to keep remembering not to call him Stanley. And even though we know about it, there might be some few people who don't know him. So I'm going to give you a little bit of background on him. He is a transpersonal coach, metaphysical practitioner, diversity, equity, and inclusion professional, and a performer at heart. True. He's also passionate about facilitating individual soul level alignment and expansion as part of larger community healing. Stanley is also a U.S. Army combat veteran, and his military career has spanned more than 20 years in 5 countries with additional assignments as a military police soldier, broadcast journalist, radio host, and public affairs trainer. He currently serves as a military equal opportunity advisor with the Army Reserve, where he trains and advises commanders, leaders, and soldiers on issues pertaining to organizational climate, positive leadership, inclusion, harassment, and discrimination. He enjoys speaking, teaching, facilitating individual group meditations and other alignment practices, especially in unofficial capacities like speaking here today, where everything he says and shares is in his own words and not representative of the government or any other of his employers or affiliations. Now, Stanley Carter, he's a Newport News native, but he currently resides in Washington, D.C., and he's also a member here of the chapel. And as I keep telling you, he is a very talented musician and singer, and an eloquent and well-versed speaker. Our speaker today, and I'm going to be calling him Reverend eventually, Stanley Edward. Thank you.
Thanks, Reverend Betty. I appreciate that. It's always good to be here with you all, see all your smiling faces and smiling gray boxes too. That's cool. I hope everybody's doing well. It's been an interesting season on my end. I'm actually getting on a plane tonight, flying to Des Moines, Iowa, to facilitate an equal opportunity symposium for a bunch of soldiers and civilians, or help facilitate one. So this week has been a flurry of putting things together and testing things and making sure everything's as it should be. And was also down with COVID all week last week for the first time. So that was interesting as well. And I'm also in my last few months in the military. I have my retirement date tentatively set for the 15th of December, just waiting on some final signatures. So I'm looking forward to bringing that chapter of my life to completion as well. So lots of big transitions, and it feels like in the kind of global moment that we're in, that's kind of a theme as well. Lots of transitions and things happening too. And as I'm sure we all know, with transition, part of the definition of transition is change. And change can be positive for people. It can have negative aspects to people, depending on how we approach it and deal with it, and what kind of change is coming into our life. And I've ridden those waves of ups and downs with all the transitions and things happening regularly. And when I was meditating on the message for today, what came through for me, and hopefully for us as well, that was the intention, was that truth-telling in this process of transition is wildly important. There can be a tendency or an expectation, I think, in some spiritual communities to rainbows and unicorns, sunshine and flowers all the time, ignore everything that doesn't feel right or aligned, and it will go away. And maybe that's true for some, but for me, that has not been the case. what I've seen is that any avoidance actually tends to magnify the problems and magnify the conflict and magnify the negative conflict. So there is a very strong place, from my view, of truth telling for myself and for the people that I'm working with. And for me, that means allowing myself to be with what is. When I allow myself to be with what is, whatever that tension or anxiety or frustration or depression or whatever it might be, I can give myself the space to open up and saying, I'm not going to try to isolate, box, and push this away, but I'm going to give myself supportive space to just be here with it, whatever it is, and give it loving attention and to not judge it and to just allow it to be there. And when I allow myself to be there and to look at it without judgment and with love, that gives that thing, that energy, whatever it is, the space to receive that attention and to morph and change and move and eventually dissipate however it needs to move through my body, to move through and out of my experience supportively. And once I get to that place of peace, that place of maybe it's just neutrality, then from there, I can make the better decisions that are more supportive and aligned with who I am and what I want to be about, whether they're for my day or my moment, or getting myself out of bed, or moving my body into the direction I want it to move. But when I allow myself the freedom to say it's okay to look at what is and to be with it, and to just non-judgmentally send it love and to allow it to transmute and move out of my life, I allow my entire being to move forward. And when I think about and meditate on kind of the heart of this issue, for me, it becomes about family. It becomes about how am I loving myself and supporting myself and giving myself what I need in order to move through this? Am I allowing myself to get really to the heart and emotional aspect of the matter and transmute that out and up wherever it needs to go? And when I'm having challenges in that area, one helpful thing for me to look at is, where have I been recently? Have I been doing those things, being those energies that I know are supportive for me? Am I giving myself the time and space to remember to meditate, to remember to nourish myself and my body, to move my body, to nourish my body with the right foods that I need, to get the rest that I need? Am I allowing myself to prioritize the things that are important to me, the things that are important to who I am as a human being, who I am as a person with a mission? Have I recently allowed myself to do those things? And if I'm feeling out of alignment or feeling like I need to transmute some things and get them out of me, 9 times out of 10 for me, I can identify no less than 5 things on one hand that I just have let fall by the wayside because my attention is drawn in these other directions, and I allow those things to be priorities for me instead of intentionally building my days and each moment with what I know is best for me. And a lot of times that also comes with, under the surface, allowing myself to be pulled into directions that are not my strength. They're not my forte. They're not where I feel like I need to be. So as I allow myself to be pulled in those different directions by other people and circumstances around me and feel like, well, now I have to focus here, even though I know that's not my jam, that's something I should really ask somebody else to do, that creates that misalignment for me too. And then what happens after that is, on the surface, that manifests in failure, or feeling like I'm failing, or feeling like I'm not where I need to be, or not doing things how I need to do. And all of that cyclically comes back into the space of that feeling, whatever it was, anxiety, depression, misalignment, whatever, being in my field, in my being, and needing that attention and transmutation. And until I give it that attention and release that judgment and give it the loving attention that it needs to be able to dissipate, I will probably continue to stay in that cycle. But allowing myself to be with what is, acknowledge what is, love it non-judgmentally, to get to that place of peace and neutrality, gives me the space to then identify what are those things that I want to bring back into my priorities in my life: meditation, music, singing, dancing, expressing, whatever it might be. And that allows me to move forward into that. I don't want to say back into that connection, because we're never disconnected, but back into the flow, back into the understanding, the remembrance, the recollection that I am always connected, and I am always one step away, one thought away, one alignment away from being in the flow of who I am most supportively. And that brings me back into my power. That brings me back into those anchors and those foundational pieces of who I am, so that I can continue to blossom and grow and be at peace and operate from that peace. And the hope with that is that as I am in that peace, that all the things that I'm trying to create, including that peace in this now moment, can come in quickly and expeditiously and not have to be delayed because I'm trying to ignore what is, as opposed to lovingly give it the attention it needs. And after I move through this entire process and allow myself to move forward, all the previous thoughts that may have come in about, this is the way that this isn't going to work, and this isn't going to work because of this, and all the negative thoughts that would come in and kind of hijack the scenario, they just fall away because I've intentionally replaced my now moment, my consciousness, with what I know is best for me, and not only for me, but for the greatest good of all, and always harm to none. And with that alignment and that energy, I now am in that place of saying, I know how this can work. I know what my next step is. Even if it's just aligning in this moment and putting my next step forward, I can feel confident and know that I have made that choice and am acting in that choice and am acting in that alignment. And all the other stuff that was externally trying to pull me back before is so much less important and so much less prominent and attractive, because I've realigned with my power as a divine being. I've realigned and remembered who I am. And in that remembrance, I can make that choice. And with that choice, I bring that truth into being in this third dimensional, this reality, this very physical reality, because I've made that internal alignment external. I've taken that action. I've made that step. I've sung the song, I've written the thing, I've spoken the words, I've engaged in the relationship, I've reached out to somebody else around me and touched them and had the conversation, whatever it might be. Just as much as it's important to both inhale and exhale, it's as equally important to align internally and allow that alignment to flow externally. And sometimes it's the reverse. Sometimes I exhale, and that in that exhale, I'm reminded to inhale. Sometimes the exhaling feeds the inhale too. Sometimes the action puts me back into alignment too. So it's this balance, this back and forth, this understanding that my actions can help me bring me into alignment, and my inner alignment, my inner focus can also bring me into alignment. All of this is always set up for my good. So wherever I am on that spectrum, all of those actions can help bring me back into this place I want to be. And this place where I'm tapping back into my wisdom and my peace and my alignment. And I can move forward powerfully in that day, knowing that I can inhale and exhale. I can receive and I can give. I can align and I can bless other people in that process around me. And all of it is constantly feeding each other in that positive cycle, which overcomes that negative cycle that I was stuck in before, and it just replaces. The old energy is transmuted and feeds the new energy that brings me into this new level of life that I'm in this moment. And even if I find myself back over here at some point, that's okay. Life is cyclical. Change and evolution are not linear, as we've been taught. Everything is cyclical. We're constantly spiraling in to change and growth. And every time we go back and forth, it's always with new ways and new understanding and new evolution. And if I can give that the love and acceptance as well, that also will help these times over here be a little bit less impactful and maybe less lengthy in time, because I can acknowledge that they're okay and they're normal, and I'm not wrong for finding myself over here again. It's just part of the cyclical part of life that we're in, and it's all beautiful and all wonderful. And we allow ourselves the love and the joy in that moment. I think that's what I had for you today. I think I'm complete now. Blessings.